So let's get started on the morning briefing. Okay. So we have or I guess late night for you. So good news is that we are our air strikes are having an effect. They are devastating Hamas and killing Hamas commanders. I'm not sure what the holdup is for why we haven't gotten in yet. On a ground level, it's clear that we are going to be going in on a ground level. So I'm not sure what the holdup is. People say it's the weather, which I'm not really sure I understand, because the weather seems fine out here. Yesterday it rained a little, but like if you're telling me that we can't go to war because of a little rain, that seems to be a smaller problem. So that's number one. And so that's a good thing. As we're getting better. We're getting better at this, and things are moving forward in terms of the war. So that's good. Okay. We want to address Hezbollah seems to be fighting us, but not really fighting us. Meaning they like fire once or twice here and there. I don't know what it's about. I don't know if that's like their way of saying, look, we are participating, and Israel not hitting back too hard because they recognize that Hamas isn't hitting that hard. I don't know. I don't really know how to understand it. So I don't know what Hamas is and Hezbollah is what their game plan is and what this back and forth is or what it's not. I don't really know how to understand it. Israel's clearly not escalating it, afterwards in terms of hitting back that hard. So clearly, clearly not going to be. We're not going to war with Hezbollah yet, so I don't know what it is. I don't know what the tit for tat is that's happening. Just to give you an idea of people leaving the country. So you don't have this mass exodus of people leaving Israel, which is fascinating. In fact, 165,000 people. I'm not sure you can fathom that number. 165,000 people is about like 40 of my towns. I might be getting the math wrong on that, but it's a lot of people. There's like an airplane can hold between 200 and 400 people. 165,000 Israelis have come back to Israel in the last week. That's tremendous. Those are people that are coming back for reserve duty. Their units get called up and they want to participate. Now the IDF has this interesting issue that they're dealing with, which is that they had planned to have 150,000 soldiers on the ground ready for a ground invasion, and that's assuming about a 50 to 60% answer rate to the call-ups. In other words, they send out their Tzav Shmona, which is like you're being called back into service, and they expect not everybody to answer it. They expect that some people will not be able to answer it. Some people are injured. Some people are they have something going on at home that they can't do it. And it's not the expectation is not that 100% answering. Now there's something that could be above 100%, which means that people in a unit who are not even called know that there are people in their unit who were called, and therefore they come back. They join in as well, and that's been happening. So therefore, you have over 100% answer rate. So right now, the IDF is hoping to have 150,000 people, and they have somewhere a little over 300,000 people. So the IDF has this interesting logistics issue where they have too many people. They're not prepared to have this many soldiers. So sometimes that can translate into not enough equipment and not enough preparation for it, and it can get a little messy. So I don't know how the IDF deals with that and what their plans are, but that's an amazing thing. And it speaks to how dedicated the Jewish people are to the state of Israel, how dedicated the Jewish people are to the Jewish people, and really the level of commitment and determination that is found in this country is absolutely tremendous. Okay, let's talk about something that's a little. President Biden has been absolutely incredible in his support of Israel, and the reason for that is a lot of people like to be cynical and say it's politics. I don't think President Biden is getting anything, and there are very few political gains that President Biden gets from being this this supportive of Israel. Very, very few. My belief from following President Biden for over 20 years is that he really does love Israel. A lot of times we disagree as to how one should best show that love, but that he really does love Israel, and he wants to protect Israel. But he has certain ideas about Israel that almost all Israelis don't agree with. Yesterday he said two things that struck me as alarming. One is his idea that he said that most Palestinians don't support Hamas. Now that I don't know if you took a poll of how many Palestinians would say that they are Hamas supporters, but in terms of the ideology that we should be getting rid of Israel and that there shouldn't be a Jewish state and that from the river to the sea should be Palestine should be free. I mean, you'd have to be completely naive to think that most Palestinians don't maintain that position, and every single poll shows that. There's not a poll out there that says that Palestinians wouldn't rather there not be in Israel, and that Palestinians haven't come around to the idea of there being in Israel. There's just and every Palestinian policy and action speaks to that. So for President Biden to get up and try to make this kind of divide between Israel, the different Palestinians, and say that there's you have your Hamas and you have your regular Palestinians, and to say that is a little kind of just absurd and naive, and it speaks. And I'm going to get to a second thing that he said that will support this. It speaks to this sort of image that a lot of people have in America, especially Democrats, of this is what Israel should be, and because this is what it should be, we're going to stick with this. And even if facts on the ground change, and reality is just even though the reality is completely different, we're still going to stick with this thing, and because we want it to be true, because we can't handle a world where this is not true. The world isn't ready to handle the idea that Palestinians have no interest in peace with Israel. They're not ready for that. That's not the Western mindset. So to the idea that we're not going to make any progress, there's not going to be peace, there's not going to be negotiations. To try to get that over in a Western mind is very hard for people to understand. But that's really what it is. Here you had the Palestinians had a chance to succeed in the way that they wanted to succeed, and this is what happened. This is exactly what would happen if you had a Palestinian state. And it's for people to say, well, that's not true. You don't know that for a fact. Well, okay, here's the thing. You can't imagine in today's reality a state of Palestine without Hamas. Even if we eradicate Hamas, so there's just going to be another organization that's like Hamas. There were 6 terrorist organizations that participated in this attack. 6. Not just Hamas. There are 1,200 Hamas fighters, Hamas said. But we killed at least 1,500 fighters. So you're talking about there's a large amount of Palestinians that align with this type of thinking. And that's the second thing that President Biden said yesterday. He said that we have to destroy Hamas, but we also have to make sure there's a pathway for a 2-state solution. It's amazing to me, absolutely amazing to me. I thought for sure the world would recognize at this point that a 2-state solution is absolutely impossible. Absolutely impossible, absolutely ludicrous. Here's what a 2-state solution would look like, and clearly we can't have one. And yet, he's still talking about a 2-state solution. It's like it's the most absurd, unrealistic. It was unrealistic before. President Biden has led the first administration to not push a 2-state solution on Israel or any peace plan on Israel. The Trump administration pushed a 2-state solution on Israel. The Obama administration pushed one. The Bush administration pushed one. Everybody's been pushing a 2-state solution on Israel. And the Biden administration, to its credit, hasn't pushed it. but that he still believes in the fact that there's a two-state solution. That the world hasn't woken up and said it speaks to the amount of naivete, of projection, of wanting to believe the truth instead of dealing with the reality that the world takes on when it comes to the U.S.-Israel relationship. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and how they're still talking about a two-state solution. There's not going to be it's absurd. No Israeli would ever entertain the notion now of a two-state solution. It's crazy. The biggest advocates, I mean, this is going to sound horrible, but it's really true. The biggest advocates for a two-state solution, the biggest advocates within Israel on a two-state solution, do you know where they were when these attacks happened? They were at the music festival. It was a peace and love music festival. The biggest activists were slaughtered by Hamas. Slaughtered. If you look at the Israeli left and look at who the biggest people that were still believing in peace, beyond anybody's idea, after two intifadas and after countless operations in Gaza, after seeing Hamas, the people that were still the believers, they were the ones slaughtered by Hamas. In a horrific coincidence, they happened to be the ones right next to the border when this happened. Hamas attacked a festival of people that believed in peace with the Palestinians. Israelis understand this. It's almost absurd to think that we're still talking about a two-state solution. And then you have Mahmoud Abbas, who's like, okay, we need somebody to grasp onto. Who's the anti-Hamas pastor? Go to Mahmoud Abbas. So Mahmoud Abbas was, and he says, this is of course, after a week and a half, he says, I criticize Hamas's actions. This doesn't speak for the Palestinians. And then the minute when nobody's looking, he deletes the announcement. He takes it off his social media, takes it off his websites, and it's as if he never said it. Because this is what the Palestinians believe. This isn't like a small faction of the Palestinians. This is who they are. They've revealed themselves. And we're not going to negotiate with them. We're not. Those days are done. It's over. And nobody would ever want a second state. Okay, so that's the end of my rant and the end of my briefing. If you want, we can have questions in the chat now. So if you have questions, so please put them in the chat, and we'll start answering. Okay. So the first question is, what are the different outcomes of the invasion of the IDF into Gaza? So this is the thing that people have yet to be able to explain to me. I don't understand what happens next. I don't know. I don't know what goes on. After this, what happens in Gaza after this? I don't know. I don't know how we figure that out. If there's no Hamas right now is controlling Gaza. So let's say we go in and we actually destroy all of Hamas. So then who's in charge of Gaza tomorrow, right? I don't know. What do? We just destroy everything and then retreat our troops back over the border, and then what? And then who's taking on? And then we build a wall, and we actually protect the wall this time and make sure people can't get through the wall. Hopefully. And then what? I understand. And then who's in charge of over the wall? Like, what is it? Just mass chaos? Or does another Palestinian Islamic Jihad or Al-Maqbud or whatever type of organization come in and take over? I don't know. Nobody knows this. The UN will take over. God forbid the UN takes over. That's the most dysfunctional organization in the entire world. Okay, what do you think of Israel turning water back on into Gaza? I'm sorry, I missed one question, but I'll go back to it. I don't understand why we're doing this. First of all, Israel doesn't even supply Gaza. Israel supplies Gaza with almost 10% of its water. That's it. It's not like Gaza is gonna. They have their own water. So I don't know, but I don't know why we're doing this. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. How many countries stepped up to take in Gaza refugees? This is a funny question. Nobody takes in Gazan refugees. None. No countries are there. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. In the United States of America, has helping American citizens, and so I'm part of a group through the State Department that the State Department helps American citizens here. And the group has Palestinians and Israelis in it because it's, in the State Department's mind, it's by region. So you're talking about from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. So you've got the West Bank and Gaza in that area. So we're dealing with, and so there are Americans that want to get out, and there are there are American Israelis that want to get out, like American Jews that want to get out, and there are Palestinians that want to get out that are Americans. Now, if you're not an American citizen, America doesn't want to talk to you. They're not going. There's no chance you're going to America if you're not an American citizen. But if you're an American citizen, according to American law, America has to get you. They've got to get you out of this area. So what? How do they get you out? So you have to agree to pay America back for the flight. Now here's the best part: America doesn't guarantee how you're getting out or where you're going. So you can be taken out by car, plane, or ship. Okay? Yesterday, the way to get out was not by plane; it was by a cruise ship out of Haifa going to Cyprus, and then they drop you off at Cyprus, and you're on your own. There are no accommodations ready for you. That's it. You just get off the ship, and now good luck getting back to, I don't know, wherever you're going. But the people in Gaza, they can't, there's no airport in Gaza, there's no seaport in Gaza. So the United States of America would have to, bring in helicopters to take all these people out. They're not doing that. So what they told them yesterday was, what they told the Americans in Gaza, they're Americans in Gaza. They told the Americans, and now these are Palestinians, obviously. So they told the Americans in Gaza, go down to the border with Egypt and go down to what's called Rafah, the Rafah crossing. That's the border with Egypt. And if you can get, and supposedly between 12 and 5, Egypt's going to open up the border. If you can get across the border, and as America can't help you get across the border, if you can get out of Gaza and get out of the border, then we hope to be able, no promises, we hope to be able to take you out. Because the great United States of America can't save its own people, with an ally who's fighting the war, meaning, and now why is this? What's the factor that's stopping them? Hamas. Hamas is not going to allow Americans to leave. So for instance, there was somebody on this WhatsApp group that says, okay, I'm going to send my 2 daughters. I'm going to send my 2 daughters down to Rafah. Please make sure they're safe. And then I saw news from Rafah, all these Americans with their American passports at Rafah, Egypt had built a concrete wall. And I've not yet to see any reports of the Americans getting out. So no one's taking Gazan refugees. Okay, what would Iran getting involved look like? Just proxy war or direct involvement? Can Russia be pulled in? Okay, so Iran getting involved is one of 2 ways, either through proxies, like you said. So Hezbollah would be the big one, or Iran itself directly attacking. There's a strange noise outside, which I don't like. Or you could have direct Iranian attacking. That could be. That's what you could have. You could have Iran, and Russia pulled in. I don't know. Russia would never want to be pulled into this. Okay, what's going to happen with the hostages? Nobody knows. No one knows. No one knows how to get these hostages out. The problem with the hostages is that some of them were taken by Hamas, but some of them were taken by other groups that Hamas is not even in control of. So even if you work out a deal with Hamas, you're not getting all the hostages through Hamas. Hamas very smartly will not allow the Red Cross to see the hostages, and that's a violation of international law. But Hamas doesn't care about international law. But they're not, because Israel will just trace the Red Cross and get back to the hostages. So I assume some are going to be saved. I assume some will be released. And why is the IDF telling everyone their plan? Obviously, it's not the full plan, but why are they saying they're preparing for ground invasion? Well, because the IDF has shipped every single tank either to the north border or to Gaza. So when the tanks are there, everybody knows it's a ground invasion, and they put 150,000 soldiers on the border. So that pretty much telegraphs your next move. So, and they said they're going to get rid of Hamas. So it's obvious there's only one way of doing that. So that's it. Okay, why hasn't the IDF confirmed that Hamas has beheaded babies? The IDF did confirm that Hamas beheaded babies. They released pictures to the press. See the pictures. The pictures were published. If you want to look for them, don't suggest it. But the IDF has confirmed that Hamas beheaded babies. They released pictures. Baby Netanyahu made that decision to release the most gruesome pictures to the press, to get rid of that. But it's very funny because you ask the question, why hasn't the IDF confirmed that Hamas beheaded babies? And it's great because I got into this on Twitter with people. Like, okay, so they say Israel's exaggerating. Hamas didn't behead babies, but they they kill babies. Yes, we'll admit they kill babies. So your problem is that Hamas would be okay if they killed babies, if they shot babies point blank. They did that. They put a gun to a baby's head and fired a trigger. They did that a number of times. That's okay with you. It's the beheading that's the issue. So as long as Hamas is just killing babies, executing them, that's okay. It's the beheading that's what puts Hamas. No, the fact that the babies died is the issue. The fact that they beheaded them just means that Hamas are barbarians and savages to an extent that we've never seen in decades. At least not in the Western world hasn't been exposed to this. I got to imagine this happens in more primitive societies, right and left. But the Hamas is that primitive, okay, so that we get, now we know. Okay, how do we know that hostages are still alive? We don't. We have not been given any signs of life. No idea. Okay. What's happening with the Iranian nuclear program? Will they be getting nukes? Hope not. We've been stopping them so far, so let's hope that we don't allow them to get nuclear weapons. But again, Israel had this belief in its intelligence services and its leadership that it was taking care of things, that we could rely on it, that we could, focus on our lives, our personal lives, and our own personal development. And big things like Iran's nuclear program, like the people over in Gaza, we didn't have to worry about because they've got it. They've got it covered. And it turns out that they didn't. So now you start to question, maybe Iran is a lot further on in their nuclear program. Maybe Israel can't stop them. I don't know. We have a lack of confidence in our intelligence services. We haven't dealt with it as a country yet, but that's okay. It was an old question. I didn't follow up on. I apologize. Why do you think it took so many days? I don't know what you're referring to. I'm sorry, my mind's not there. The beheading question. Why I think it took so many days? Because I don't think we didn't want to release pictures of our beheaded babies. That's why. Are the white phosphorus accusations true? What impact would they have? I don't know what the white phosphorus is. I know what the question is white phosphorus is an illegal weapon that we're not supposed to use in times of war. And every single time we go to war or we have an operation, we're accused of using white phosphorus. And then Israel releases the fact that no, just because there's white smoke, doesn't mean it's white phosphorus. It's actually a different type of shell. I don't know which is true or not. It seems pretty ridiculous that Israel would use something that's a war crime when there's the evidence of them using it on the news. So I probably give Israel the benefit of the doubt on this one, but who knows? How are individuals reporting from Gaza if they don't have electricity? Great question. In fact, they do have electricity. In Gaza, the electric plants only have electricity for a couple hours a day, but there is a massive industry within Gaza for what's it called? Within Gaza that has generators, and generators produce electricity. So there is electricity in Gaza. There's water in Gaza. All the stuff that we hear about how Gaza is the most densely populated area, it's not. Brooklyn, New York is more dense, and then London, England is more densely populated. So a lot of these things that you see that people put out there, we fall for because why would people make that up? But they make it up to demonize and vilify Israel. How much of its own food does Hamas produce? Hamas? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. And Gazans aren't starving, okay? There are malls in Gaza. There are shopping centers in Gaza. People imagine Gaza as people living in tents. Gaza is a modern society, okay? It is a modern society. It has resorts on its beaches. There's a great Twitter site that has for years been producing the fancy car places that Gaza has, and the average neighborhoods that are in Gaza that are not these not wealthy people, just middle class people in Gaza. Gaza is not the hellhole that people think that it is, that doesn't have basic services for its people. It does. It has it. It's one of these things that people say in order to vilify Israel. Okay, those are the ends of the questions I see here. So we'll stop here. Everybody should have a great day. We're getting better at it. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Victory is assured. Okay. Oh, sorry. One more question. Always happens. Do you think Israel should allow humanitarian aid to pass into Gaza in the near future? No. It should not be up to Israel to provide humanitarian aid. No. These are our enemies, guys. These are our enemies. Yes, there are children. There are always children among your enemies. There are children among us that were slaughtered. When we should not be thinking about how we can help Palestinians. This is the enemy. When did the world like say that Jews have to be concerned with their enemy? Nobody else has this. Nobody else sits there and says, what's going to be with the enemy? This is the enemy. Okay, the enemy starts a war with us. We then kill the enemy. That's how this works. We don't aim for innocent people, but our goal is to kill and destroy the enemy, not provide them with their needs. It's an absurd type of approach that the world has, like, and we've bought into it. This expectation that we need to provide for the innocent Palestinians. Why are we providing for innocent Palestinians? This is the enemy. It's the enemy. Why would we worry about the enemy? Yes, okay, I'm not going to aim my guns at the enemy's children. Fine. I'm going to try my very best to make sure my bombs don't hit the enemy. But now I'm going to provide the enemy with resources. They're the enemy. The enemy means we kill the enemy. We defeat the enemy. Okay? Now, there are rules that means you can't kill the innocent people of the enemy. Okay? But they're the enemy. We defeat the enemy. We don't help the enemy. Is Syria as a country willing to get involved? There is no country called Syria. There's a map and it has a place called Syria on it, but they've been experiencing a civil war for the last 10 years, and they're just completely demolished. It's not really a country called Syria. Is it true Israel told Egypt not to open their borders to Gazans? I have no idea. I don't know why Israel would do that, or how would that help Israel? Okay, I don't know. Okay, it's hard to track. Okay, thanks. Okay, do you think the IDF might do some sort of strike in Qatar? Is this feasible? I hope so, but probably not. Israel has a secret working relationship with Qatar, and America has an ally with Qatar, but we've got to get the Hamas leaders. I could see Israel maybe not doing an airstrike, but maybe an assassination. To the Hamas leaders live in Qatar, and those guys got to die. They've got to be eliminated from the face of the earth. Not arrested, they've got to be eliminated. What do you think should be the plan with Gaza moving forward in terms of governance? I have no idea. No idea. No, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question. Who's going to govern Gaza? I would like it to be some sort of rational, normalized actor. Let's bring Saudi Arabia in there. Maybe the UAE. No idea. Has Israel's relationship with Russia changed? Nah, Israel always has this crazy relationship with Russia because Russia's crazy. So Israel's relationship with Russia has always been the same, where it's mutually beneficial for them to work together in certain areas and better for them not to work in certain areas. But Israel understands when Russia, Russia put in a thing for the United Nations today to put a ceasefire. Israel understands that has nothing to do with them, that's about the United States, that Russia takes the other end to sort of takes the other side of the equation. To weaken the United States. It has nothing to do with Israel. So, Israel still has that same cooperation, especially in the air over Syria, that it always had with Russia. Okay, I think that really was the last question. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Victory, victory, victory.